Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Got a quick fire HBAR Hedera hash graph video here. More focused really on the charts for this video, but I just wanted to pick out a couple of things here from Hedera. And this is from back in 2017, guys. Harvard talk on Hedera. Listen to this, and let's compare this to what exactly is going on in the market. Of course, this was very similar moves back then as well.
Typically, the history of any kind of market is that you have this enormous springing up of thousands and thousands of companies, and then you have a crash, and then you get down to 3 or 4 whatever big companies that continue on. That's the way every revolution tends to happen. I'm sure we'll see the same pattern here.
So guys, clear as day really. I think this is again something that people just need to understand a bit more. Through these bull markets that we had over the last couple of years, we're going to see a lot of projects jump in. You're going to see a lot of like new founders and CEOs, and this thing that happens really is because people obtain money, they accumulate loads of money through these great markets, and then they go and start up their own thing. Whether it's potentially lack of expertise or lack of longevity plan in terms of the project and how they hire people, etc., or indeed even develop. And everything is so still to this day dependent almost on the market's movements, right? In terms of token holders, investments, funding, all this stuff, right? So we've got all these things. But for sure, Leemon is very, very accurate here in the sense that if you cast your minds back to or know of the dot-com bubble, right, where there was loads and loads of companies, technological companies coming out, 70s, 80s and beyond, especially when sort of, websites and things, the internet powered up, certainly through the 90s. Each of these stepping stones had a multitude of projects and companies. Most were bought out by what we see today, i.e. you could say like the top 5, top 10 Oracle cloud companies, the technology companies, like Microsoft, Apple, etc. And this is what happens. The whole market crashes. Everyone, gets disorientated and sad about it. But actually, this is a really good opportunity, guys, to really assess your portfolios. Now, I'm not in the camp to say, sell everything at a loss, but that's kind of pointless, really. There are some things that I've been doing recently in this kind of market, and particularly for Hedera as well, because Hedera is one that I haven't accumulated too much of over the last few years, as much as I should have, because of its technological advancement and what I think it's going to do in the future. So what I've been doing in this market is really assessing the gains and percentage losses, where we are with each of the assets that I hold, and going, well, actually, I'm not selling this to like chase something else or make money or anything like this with this particular pot of money right now. But when I look at a project, I'm thinking, well, okay, this is still continuing to go down in that momentum based on the data, the algorithm, the information I'm getting. And I can start putting it into the projects that I think actually, maybe in hindsight, a couple of years ago, where I was looking at all these different exciting projects thinking, oh, this is such a cool concept and idea, but maybe not doing enough research in the background to see like, what's the longevity of this? Could this get bought out? Could this have trouble in the coming years? And that's a learning curve. That's an experience that you get along the way. So looking at it now, I moved some of the assets because I had so many. I have like 40 odd assets, and I've now managed to drill it down to 25. I still want to condense that a bit further, but I feel like the 25 or so that I've got are really strong. I've still got a few there where I'm sort of thinking, well, this is probably a really good one to have just in case. But am I thinking now to focus on the ones that I really believe in and the ones that have actual full-on worldwide utility and technological advancements? And Hedera, in my opinion, is one of those for sure. So I have moved a few across to Hedera, and I'm happy with that decision. It's not like I'm chasing the money. All the projects right now are like 90% down. The value differentiations in each of them are not so different either. But I have to think about the long term. Which one of these is going to get me the most gains or the most opportunity in the future? So I take this opportunity to move some of this stuff into the likes of Hedera and other projects like Quant, etc. And I want to build this portfolio moving forward for the top tech projects, guys. Because we learn from these things, like Leemon is saying in 2017. Like they always said for decades, in all these transitional methods of technology and advancements in stocks and assets that you can obtain or shares, this is how it happens, guys. This could be like one of the big shakeouts in the history of crypto. It's short age span of 15 odd years now, and we're entering where the world is adopting this tokenized asset scenario. The financial systems are changing to digital currencies, CBDCs, etc. So we have to understand who's powering these, who's powering all the other technologies that are going to be used by governments and by the top technology projects, companies. You see what I mean? And most of them will probably even get purchased out by existing traditional companies or individuals as well. So we've got to think ahead, guys. We have to think ahead. And I said, this market is a really good opportunity to really reassess everything, reassess your portfolio. But don't do silly things, and don't do things emotionally either. But certainly, as we're in these bottom stages, and I'm not saying we're at the bottom, I think we could still come down a bit more, to be honest. But as we DCA, it's a good strategy to have across the board. But I think that this is a good opportunity to go, right, the gains will be there in the future, but which ones are actually going to survive? Which ones are actually going to push? And I think we've all in this channel, and people who watch this and those out there in general, have a really good idea of the ones that will do that. And I see this, certainly if you look at the values on some of these projects and how they're operating within the markets, that a lot of them are still very strong. So let's think about this in more detail in another video. But I just thought I'd bring that to your attention because of my aspiration to build my Hedera Hashgraph portfolio, especially in this market. It's such a massive opportunity. It had a massive, great run previously. In fact, let's just jump into the chart of Hedera because this kind of like reiterates my point, to be honest. And let's switch that in. So as you can see, we have got this huge gap, right? So for me, I still think there's some potential opportunities in even lower regions than we are today and what we had seen yesterday. We made this point several times in a multitude of different assets, actually. We call this like the black hole, the big gap of not really knowing where the support and resistance is. And when you're in a big hype market, it's very deceiving, And we had this big tail up for Hedera all the way up here, guys. Look at this. Absolutely incredible. Hitting some points here around 57, 60 cents. So if you think about it being 4 cents now, what Hedera is, and with the adoption that we'll have over the next few years and the integrations, this can easily come back and really exceed that 50-cent mark, I believe, in the next few years as well. I see Hedera being, sort of maybe a $4 or $5 token asset in the coming years for sure. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But in terms of the price points and accumulation, I'm sitting here, well, this is a great opportunity. If it does come down lower, brilliant, but that's why we do DCAing, because we don't just chuck our money in straight away. We think about it logically over a longer period of time. And what I've done here is I pulled the fib retracement down based on previous data back here in August 2020 and one of the lower regions. Not all the way down, because this is probably the next market that I would do if we start penetrating these lower areas. But the reason I've done this is because, well, if I create a fib retracement level from the existing lower number to one of these upper ones, we've only got a lower level here. And that doesn't really tell us about, well, where could we go? And to prove my point here, taking one of these areas as one of the top points and one of the lower points, this is kind of like the area spectrum that we're in right now. As you can see, it's kind of partially mirrored in the sense that we're approaching these areas. So if I zoom back into the closer area, look at this. Based on data from 2 years ago, we're seeing exact pinpoints. Look at this. So fib retracement at the moment is literally just under 5 cents, but look at that. Look at that touchdown yesterday on 0.0426. It couldn't be more accurate. And I'm not even joking. This line lines up with everything that I've been doing here. All the way across these lower regions and all the way across to these top regions. And it's just literally plowing through. And we've seen the marker of support, and this is based on historic data. This is how the trading mechanism works. So when we're looking at charts and we're thinking, oh, where's the bottom? Well, the answer is you can never really know where the exact bottom is, but you can start preparing positions on the way down as you can on the way up, simply by looking at historic data and pulling it into today's world as well. So if you remember, previous Hedera Hashgraph video, we put a marker here of a buy opportunity. I absolutely loved buying that one. I started buying through the ledger now, actually, through MoonPay, because I was fed up with all the exchanges and banks and all this stuff taking so long. MoonPay was like done within a minute and straight into my ledger, which I was really happy with. And now it's safe. But yeah, we're hitting back up here. But look at that. Look at the retaliation. bang on 5 cents resistance. So I think we're going to play this out a bit. I don't know if we'll come back up to 5.5 so quickly, but for sure, people are taking advantage of this. I could see some trading happening, like proper day trading happening over the next few days. And this is going to play out quite interestingly. However, if we come back down to this area and it doesn't support, don't be surprised. Because, as I mentioned, from this point here in 2020, the rise was significant. Look at that, all the way up here in such a short space of time, 2-3 months. Going all the way up, guys, to like 20-30 cents in 2-3 months. I'm not saying that's going to happen again immediately, but what we first of all have to achieve and understand is where are we going with Hedera. So I've already hit this buy option. I missed this one down here, unfortunately, at just like literally the lower regions of 4 cents. So I've got to think about this. I'm for sure going to have a DCA option round about where we are still currently at this area that I drew before. I think it's a great bite point. But again, this is another area that we could come down to test, just over the 4 cents. And using the fib retracement level here, we could see there's a potential possible dip slightly under 4 cents as well. But do I want to go more extravagant and perhaps go for these lower regions, which actually could make sense if we look at the data around here of the flexibility that we have just over that 3.5 cent mark. So I'm going to be putting an order in today, a limit order, just down here. I'm hoping in some ways we don't come down this area, because I think Hedera is at a good chance now to have a new proper support line that we've seen a couple years ago. It's had a big run up for sure. It's not confirmed support or resistance levels, in my opinion, fully accurately. But I do think there's a lot of power in Hedera. I think there's a lot of following and a lot of value to suggest that we could sustain these kind of areas. But that's not to say that it won't come lower. A lot of people were laughing at me when I was drawing these and saying, no, Hedera's not coming down there. It's going to stabilize now, but it does. Even small, well, not small, but big macro events, not just the world, but things in crypto. Look what's happened with FTX, and it pulls it down. And when it pulls it down, it completely obliterates support levels. And it's more important than ever that we concentrate on support and resistance levels on a longer term basis. And we see here on the year, 88% down. There's plenty of movement on the upward side to think about. But for me right now, this is a great bite point area. We're on a bit of an upward trend today, of course, for the retaliation of the 2 days loss, or arguably 3 days loss that we've had. But again, the volumes aren't huge on the sellout, guys. This is showing great strength in this project. And I honestly, like, as I said, it could come down lower and I have to prepare for that. But equally in my mind, I'm thinking, well, actually, this could be so structured well and had so much investment and value in it that it will support these areas potentially. And you can see it in the volumes. The volumes aren't huge in the sell-off. People are holding this and people are accumulating. What does that tell you? So the RSI is currently 36 on 14. It was absolutely brilliant yesterday, seeing that come down to 25 if you're a purchaser for short-term potential turnarounds and also the long-term ones. I mean, look at this right now, 40 on the 20-day, absolutely beautiful price point or area to be looking at, and especially on that 90-day at 43. If we can push forward 3-6 months in advance, maybe even 12 months in advance, the returns could be quite significant for this project. So that's where we are with Hedera, guys. I thought I'd just bring out these points and these bits of interesting information, because this is kind of what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to achieve with Hedera. Let us know in the comments below what you're thinking. What have you been doing with HBAR? Have you been accumulating, selling, holding? What are you doing? Are you concerned that it will come down lower? Or are you excited that it will come down lower? Or do you think that we're going to stabilize? Let us know all your comments and thoughts. We always appreciate them all, and we always respond to every single comment as well. If you don't believe me, go and check every video. Every video is responded to the comments. So guys, we're going to wrap that up there. Very interesting stuff indeed. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll indeed see you in the next Hedera video. Take care, and bye-bye.